People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thursdays, I'm with Jess. It's a great day. We saying?
It's crazy. I just got off of another show where I was in mixed company and they were hating so hard, man. So it's so nice to be actually talking to an Arsenal fan so we can just have some fun, man.
I mean, you can see it in front of me, and I know some time has passed now since we've obviously won, but not one, not two, but 3 goals. Declan Rice screamers, young player standing up to be counted, Kivio standing up to be a movie, like
a movie, yeah.
Take the floor, man.
I just listen, like there's I will not come up here and say that I saw this or saw it come in or nothing. Like it was such a shock to me, that we left that game with a 3-goal cushion going into the next part of this tie. But beyond the goals, which every single goal was quality, Declan Rice back-to-back free kicks and the Merino goal is going way under the radar. The amount of passes, the way that we moved the ball was like peak Arteta.
Lewis Skelly FC.
Yeah, but the performance overall was fantastic. Take the goals away, the performance was our best performance of the season in terms of the level of
if you beat Real Madrid 3-0, it's automatically, regardless, your best performance of the season. You're right.
I just felt like everybody played their part. We were up for it. We played with maturity. We looked so much different than what we looked like when we played Bayern, the year prior at home. And that was what I was looking for. I was looking for growth from last season to this season in this exact competition at this exact stage at home against the top side. And we just looked so much more assured, even with Gabriel out, even with no striker and all that kind of stuff. So I thought,
which they had as well. So they can't run that narrative. Oh, poor Real Madrid side. We didn't have our players as well.
I think it's very, very interesting how Real Madrid became a really shitty team overnight. Because before the game, they were the best in the world and you didn't have a chance. Now, all of a sudden, they were missing all these players. And if you've been watching them, they're not that good. Have a seat. Like, it's Real Madrid. They had their Fab Four. So regardless, they had their Fab Four. They were saying it before the game. They had Bellingham, they had Mbappe, they had Rodrigo, and they had Vinny. They had all 4 of those players out there, and they couldn't get past Kivior. So I'm not trying to hear shit. I'm not trying to hear anything. You didn't have to play against Gabriel. We didn't have a striker. I'm not trying to hear it. We earned that. We earned the right to have that cushion going into the second leg. And it was just fantastic. I think Mikel deserves a lot of credit because the tactical setup and the way that we attack the game and stuff, I think rattled them badly. I don't think they come up against defenses like us very often, and they don't come up against fullbacks like ours very often. I think that hurt them, and just the way that we pressed them and hurt their buildup. I think it rattled them. I know people are like, Real Madrid were just bad on the night, but I think we had a large part to play in that. And there are a lot of performances that will go under the radar because they were not Declan Rice. But
let's not let them go under the radar, man. Let's delve into that.
The fullback pairing. The fullback pairing is out of this world. Look what
Lewis Kelly's doing, man. It's like where I got the tabs. Our whole record has been amazing in the Champions League. What else have I got? Bukayo Saka, shout out yourself. And we're gonna waffle about you in a second. We're always gonna run that propaganda. Yeah. Obviously, we are missing several players. Kivior, you're going down in folklore. The beef is over. You know what, Kivior, you're my guy now. You still probably need to be sold, but you stood firm. And again, watching that game. It wasn't just Kivior for me. Naturally, there's probably nerves. Let's be real. Saka was great, and a half-fit Saka just shows what he means to this club and his mentality. But him, Saliba, who stood tall and was a leader, Kivior, several players, even Timber, who saved a lot. Several players gave the ball away early doors, but I think everyone will focus and remembers Kivior's one. And I remember watching the game at TalkSport, I thought, Kivior, don't let that be one of those where the nerves
Yep.
continue and whatnot. But he stood
I
up
was
firm.
scared for
People
him.
can't run that Madrid stuff. We know tactically they're on the floor. We know about their league form. But then equally, people say when they're not playing well, they find a way. This just goes down as a great night in history. But you have to give us our plaudits in the same way you'd have drew us out if we lost and got battered, or the scoreline was the other way. Crazy.
Yeah,
I did say that. I'll hold that. I think if the contexts were different, I'll hold that. You know I love Lewis Kelly and Timber, and I don't care about being right. I just want Arsenal to win. So I'll hold that, Viggs.
exactly.
You might lose your mod status. But yeah.
Sorry, I'm just adding this. But I think a big difference, and this is not to shade any players that played last season or anything like that, but I just think when their strengths are those really tricky attackers up front, and you have players like Miles Lewis-Skelly and Timber that are really, really good 1v1 and can hold their own and are really confident.
They're on it.
Difference, because I feel like it's just once they get beat once or they realize they're up against real men, it changes the game. It changes the game 110%. They came up against real men. Timber's not scared.
Spartans.
You know, and we know that in big games last season and seasons gone past, we've had players with really obvious deficiencies defensively. You know?
And we're missing our leader, Gabriel. I shout out everyone, but you see that defense? Shout out to them, man.
Saliba, I know that I had questions around him being the leader back there, but he did that. He did that. He was a leader back there and helped Kivior. And Kivior for the first 24 minutes made 2 massive mistakes.
And he fixed up immediately.
And he fixed it. And I think that's because the rest of the team didn't take on that nervousness, where I think in the past they have. If one person made a mistake, everybody started
like, oh, I'm going to play within myself.
100%. And they didn't do that. The confidence that we had on the ball, though, I think needs to be spoken about too, because I think we talked about the Bayern game. We didn't show ourselves. It didn't feel
from
like
home. Definitely we got stage fright.
And I felt like everybody wanted the ball. Miles Lewis-Skelly said, "Give me the ball." He's up there. I see Camavinga on one side. I see Jude Bellingham on the other side. He said, "Give me the ball." Miles
even telling Bellingham, "Get up."
A joke. He is a joke. Oh, he's so good.
He just understands it.
What's happened? He's the biggest surprise he's the brightest light in the season. Brightest light.
Him and Wanyeri, they've been I can't lie. I think Saka's there as well. Park Miles Lewis-Skelly off for a sec, yeah. Saka was on course to have an all-timer of a season anyways, and then he got the injury, and he's just making up for lost time. I commend Bukayo Saka so much. Even watching the game again, you could see that he is his full best, but he's not his full best. He's picking his moments when to take his man on. And I think both of me and you both saw he had Alaba on toast. He did Bellingham dirty. Probably should have had about 2-3 assists on the night. And that's why it annoys me how when people say these footballers don't care, there's every reason and every excuse. If this performance went left, we know what we'd be saying. The drop-off in quality from Gabriel Magalhaes and Kivior. Saliba's not a leader. Lewis-Skelly, it's come too early. Saka, why did they rush him back? Mikel Arteta, this, that, and the third. I think Real Madrid have their own issues. I think we've got our own issues. But then you can caveat all of that and say it's just cup competition. You need to do your job. Now, whether Arsenal want this to go down as purely the greatest night in the Emirates history, or they want it to kick on and be something that kicks us to win a Champions League. But that's the annoying thing. And before we carry on with Lewis-Skelly, think about me and you have been here 9 times out of 10 and spoken about we didn't do this, we didn't do that, the trophies, the manager. And it's not to forget about all of those points. But we have battered Manchester City, who are currently the Premier League holders. Obviously, Liverpool's going to get that. And we've smacked at home Real Madrid. That has to show me that there's something in there. Why do you think we don't see these nights often enough?
I feel like I want to be fair to the team, because I feel like in most big games under Mikel over the last 2 seasons, we've been pretty good, and I would consider this a big game against a big opponent. I think the only time that it shocked me was really Bayern and Porto, where I was like, this is not the team that played, City twice in that season and didn't lose a game, won one and draw one. This is not the team that beat Liverpool at home and drew away. So I was surprised by those performances, because we've been good against big teams. The biggest difference between the game against Real Madrid and the games that we've had against City and Liverpool, where especially like away from home, where we've been good, but maybe we didn't come away with the win, is the game against Real Madrid, we had a player step up and have moments. And that's been our biggest thing. We've had games like what we had against Real Madrid in the first half, where we get into halftime and we're like, we really should be up 2 or 3-0. We've had that before. Like, this is not new, where we've come up against good teams and we've played really well, if not played them off the park. But the biggest difference is we just didn't have that player to make that key difference. And if it was going to be anybody, it should be your £100 million signing. And there was never a time where I doubted Declan Rice was going to, be up to that price tag. But I think if anybody had doubts, those doubts were just shut down, because those are X factor moments that only special players can come up with. 2 free kicks back to back is crazy work against Courtois. This is
who
not
had a bloody brilliant game, and it should have, if not for the 2 goal line clearances and Courtois, it's 7-0, and we're waffling even harder. Like Declan Rice, I've always said, like, we'll get into his 8 stuff, but there's so many, you said it as well on this platform, like there's so many issues at Arsenal, positively and negatively, before we come looking at Declan Rice. There's been many moments, primarily in the Premier League, where he's made a difference. Now, not even he probably believed he could take a free kick like that. And I know I'm being reactionary, but for me to see you not do it once, but twice, why have you not been taking them before? Why are you letting Odegaard take them? And they're kind of skipping ahead, like, because you've been alluding to it, and we're going to circle back throughout this about Mikel Arteta from a tactical point of view. But you were kind of touching on the points of a question I wanted to ask you about. We can clearly see Mikel Arteta can compete. He can do his homework. We will compete. We went out against Bayern, but it was dramatically better than the last time we was in the competition. Prior to the last half an hour, I don't think it would have ended 0-0, but it could have ended 0-0, and it still would have been a good performance. But things went off script. Like, Declan Rice was saying, "Oh, you know what? We're meant to cross it." Odegaard and the coach told me cross it. I felt, you know what? I feel like doing this. I'm going to hit it. Do you think we need to do things like that more often?
This is the biggest, I do. I feel like this is the biggest advertisement for the team, to just go with their instincts sometimes and not just follow this very rigid script. When you do that, we get the results that we've had in the past, where it just looks like they're so scared to show themselves. That was a special moment from a player that went off script. Sometimes you have to do it. Mikel is not going to sit there and say, yeah, but Nicholas Jover told you to cross it. No.
If you score a goal like that, boy.
Yeah, he's not going to say that. And so sometimes you just have to feel it. And, we had spoken about why Ethan and MLS are so good. It's because they haven't been overcoached yet, and they just go with their instinct. The thing I like about Rice the most is he does the basics at a really high level, but he has the intangibles that I feel like so many of our players don't have, where they can just make something happen out of nothing. Where
speak on specifics in that regards, because it's we need to spend a second on Declan Rice. He needs his throw.
It's like the first moment where I felt like I saw it was when we played against Chelsea at the beginning of last season, and we drew away from home, and he scored that goal. Most of our players, and as much as I love him, I love Odegaard, I love all of our players, most of our players take a touch and slow it down and don't just kick it in the back of the net. I'm telling you right now, they would have slowed the ball down, and we would have let them get back, and it would have fizzled out. Declan just does the intangibles, the simple things at a very high level, whether it's knowing where to be and clearing the ball off the line, sniffing out danger, or just scoring bangers. Like, he just has that ability. And when people were saying that you spend 40 million on a player like Declan Rice and his skill set, and you could have got Amadou Onana for the same amount as the same player, that was the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen anybody say about anybody. But probably second to Ange is their version of Wenger. Those are such disrespectful things to say. Come on, like, Declan Rice has the intangibles. He has the special, that it factor, which it can't be taught, it can't be bought.
Superman.
You can't coach it into somebody. You either have it or you don't. And so what he lacks in his body, the way that he receives the ball and his angles and all that, what he lacks in tactical gobbledygook is the intangibles that half the players that you guys like that do that shit just don't have. They don't have it. He has.
Is he becoming a more complete midfielder though?
Yes,
Because you look at, but he's never scored, I think, a direct free kick, let alone it's either he ain't scored a free kick, let alone 2 for West Ham. He's done it for Arsenal. We know he's taking set pieces and he's increasing his output. He's done well in the 8. You could argue what Rice is known for is the defender and all of that. If he's adding that other side, is he becoming more of a complete midfielder? And if that's the case, has he reminded everyone he's world class as well?
Yeah, I think
if
so.
They forgot.
Yeah, I think the reason why people like him in the 8 is because he's so adaptable and so good that even when it's not really like a clean fit at times, he makes it look good because he's just so good. Like, that's just the truth. He's so good. He could probably play any position for us and look good because he's just a top player. I think that was a coming out game for Rice in terms of the world. The world was watching that game. The world was watching that game.
Hey, they were doing the hate logs. We defeated that.
They were doing
defeated that.
They can't deny it. They can't deny it because his overall performance, the way he applied himself, and then the goals will set him like that is a core memory for so many Arsenal fans. There are a lot of Arsenal fans that will talk about that moment for a long time. And I don't think we've had a lot of players that have had moments like that in big European fixtures. So it says a lot. But he's also been playing well for a while now. I think he had a kind of like a weird start of the season where it just was he wasn't fit. It was so clear he wasn't fit. Now that he's fit,
a broken toe as well.
Yeah, he scored 3 goals in like his last 3 Champions League fixtures. Like, he's just at home, and then he scored against Real Madrid. I'm so sorry, but like, if you can't see it, you never will. You're looking for things that don't matter in football. Like, in football, it really is just who has it and who doesn't. And whether you have the right body composition when you're receiving off of the defenders, or you can do line splitting passes. If you don't have it, it doesn't matter. And he just has it. He's a special player. Why would Pep want him and Tuchel want him and all these people want him if he's ass? Ain't nobody knocking down Onana's door to bring him to a top side. And that's not to even shade him, because I think Onana's a good player. But when people are saying that they're on the same level, I was like, I've never seen people disregard a top player like this. And I know some of it is Arsenal bias. But some of it is just Arsenal fans. I feel like they have aesthetics bias. They always are thinking the grass is greener looking at other players. But Rice was a top player last season and was one of our best players last season. And at the back end of this season, if he keeps it up, I don't know.
So how do you feel about him in the 8 then? I know we're accepting of it, but if he's going to do stuff like this, like, are you more comfortable than you've never been more comfortable before with him in that role?
Yeah, well, I feel like I've always said about the 8 role, it's when we play against big teams and teams that open up, it's not a problem. Like, it's not a problem he's had some of his best games for Arsenal against better sides in the 8. So it's not so much about that. Like, I'm not ever scared when we're playing in Champions League fixtures or against City.
He's so good, man. I can't lie. Oh, hey, big up Arteta for signing you, Rice, man. But go on. He's mustard.
But it's only when the spaces become more condensed and you need a little bit more finesse. And that's where I feel like him in the 8 doesn't work as good. He still applies himself. He's obviously always pretty much has really good games.
It's cool now, man. Lewis Kelly bringing the seasoning in midfield, left wing. I mean, center, left center inverted. It's cool, man.
I mean, after a game like that, man. After a game like that, obviously, but we know that if we come up against a deep block, it's not the best, but it is what it is. Like, Arteta's doubling down on it, and this is the type of midfield that we're going to have. So if Rice comes up with big moments and he keeps, adapting, then, it is what it is. Like, I'll tell you this for sure, whether it's at 6 or 8, Rice is a starter for me. He's first name on the team sheet, one of them behind Saka, like in the defense. Like, he's never droppable because there's not a lot of players in our team that can produce big moments. So he's always going to be there for me.
Speak on my man, Jurriën Timber, locked up.
My goodness.
All he does is read it. It doesn't shock me anymore. All he does is read his Bible and pocket defenders. Like, Timber just gets it. Hato, make sure he said, we're jumping ahead, but Hato said he's been texting Timber, come and join the litness. Mbappe, I know you like the Emirates. Gyökeres, if your agent was really at the Emirates. We're the culture club. Look at all of them celebs that come out to watch us. Join the revolution. Even better at full time. I'm happy to be Arsenal fan,
He
but
was
yeah,
gassed.
man,
Berta was gassed. He was like, yes,
he's gonna do a madness rush. Like he
that was,
grabbed him up. He's like, they punched up my friends, and Berta's gonna do a madness. But
people right now, if he should call people right now, because everybody was watching that game. They were
everyone,
like, everybody was, except for Inter and Bayern fans, everybody was watching that game, and we put on a show. And I still feel like, and I was saying this on Mo's show, that as much as they do up, so and so, if this team gets this and that, they're going to be dangerous. We are the one team that is that. If we had a striker, the game would have been over in the first half because somebody would have got on the end of those crosses. Okay.
Saka, as I said at the start, Saka should have had 3-4 assists. The best bit of defending on the night, I think one of someone's header hit Saliba or something like that. We should have killed Madrid, man.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think if there was ever a time to start calling agents, it's this week. We looked really, really good, and we are a good team. And I think we've been saying this all season. It's not that we're not good. I think some people take things way too far. We have not lived up to the expectation this season in the league for sure. And we went on a domestic.
Look what we're capable of doing.
Right? But that's what's frustrating, is that we know we're good and we're so close. So if we just had just a little bit extra, that extra 5%, we could do some fucking damage. Like, we could do some real damage. But Timber and Miles Lewis-Skelly, that is a serious fullback partnership. That is the best fullback partnership we've had in a long time. Long time. I don't care that Miles Lewis-Skelly is young. I don't care about anything. Those guys locked those boys up and threw away.
They wanted it.
Yeah, they wanted it, and they were good in and out of possession. And that's what you need in the biggest of games. When we signed Timber, probably the one thing that I did say is, even though White is so good and we love him, there's just a certain standard that you need in those big European matches to lock up those really good attackers. So whatever he lacks going forward, he makes up for in the fact that we just don't see left wingers get any joy. None.
Long may it continue.
Nothing. So yeah, he's really good. I also want to say that, like, as much as people think I hate him, he's not my favorite for other reasons, but I really do think Thomas Partey had one of his best games in an Arsenal shirt against Real Madrid. I thought he was a class above Modric and all of them. I think only Camavinga to me really stood out in the first half. But
he should have been sent off. That's why he's a luck. Well, he did ultimately, but he's a lucky boy.
I think Thomas Partey was really, really good on the day. He really, really was. So, like, for people that
let's you see days like that, Jesse. Like, because I did watch Partey and Tierney. I thought, come on, do we need to break the lads up already?
Yeah, I would just, if everybody has their own opinion on it, my opinion kind of hasn't changed, but he did play really well. So, yeah. And like, we were talking to the Chelsea fan, because he was talking so much about his midfield. And my thing is, even on our midfield's worst day, even with the things that I feel like need to be addressed in that midfield, whether it's profile-wise or form-wise, my midfield dominates games and keeps us in it. I don't know, people always talk about our defense, but it's not just our defense. Our midfield is really good. Out of possession, in possession.
We die by our standards, because we still haven't found a way to put the ball in the back of the net. And we've run players into the ground. We've still got an identity. We are crying about our system, and once we get to the final third and all of that, but to be able to criticize that, you've seen that for a sustained period. It's low blocks FC every week against us. So you're right.
Yeah, it's the midfield, I think, gets a lot of flack because there's just certain things, but I do feel like with a better attack in front of them, we could appreciate what they do more, because they do so much. And it's rare that I see them get walloped. It's rare that I see another team dominate our midfield. They may have players that get past us or whatever, but it's so
Newcastle away in the League Cup, to be fair, but it's a rarity, really.
Yeah, it's rare to me. So I like the fact that we've had such a solid midfield, and for them to, I mean, it was Bellingham and Modric and Camavinga. This wasn't they didn't have kids out there. I know that they had Alaba and
they had seasoned vets, man.
But when the team sheet came out, they were saying we're getting blanked. So I'm not trying to hear it. I'm really not. Our midfield did really, really well, and I thought Thomas Partey, to me, he's had some standout games, but he rolled it back to the 2022-2023 season in that game. So I want to give him credit for that, because you were up against Modric in them. It wasn't Jude Bellingham was quiet. He was quiet, so hats off to
Apart
him.
from when he tried to say Lewis Skelly stepped on his heel or whatever.
Oh, fuck him. Jude, untuck your shirt. I love you. Don't get me wrong. JB, I'm a fan. Untuck that shirt and shut that mouth, baby. Okay? You lost. Okay? Because the commentator then said that Lewis Skelly has a temper, and I'm like, see, y'all are doing the thing.
Yeah, this is microaggressive.
It's annoying.
Wow, a professional athlete, whether they're white, black, Asian, whatever, has an attitude or a bit of an aggressive streak. Okay. And I didn't see him being for someone that, if there was an improvement, Lewis Skelly has to make his slight improvements in his defensive shape, as we saw in the build up to the penalty. But the way they move is like he's just some loose cannon going to go out there, first 30 seconds, 2-foot someone and just do a madness. Kind of like bit of it was valid, but not really with Granit Xhaka. But that's the problem with that. And that's what, above everything, Lewis Skelly just shining. Like I'm even seeing him right centre mid in the games. Like he has been a footballer for us for 8 months, essentially. And look what he's done and look what he's played in. Where do you rate Timber in world football? Or in the Prem? Is he the best right back in the league? I know you got Trent and this one and that one, but just in terms of how they play.
This season, he's the best right back in the league. This season, off of the ACL, consistency, just what he brings to the game, locking up people. And I think our fullback pairing is the best fullback pairing in the league. It's just good. I'm so sorry. So I rate Timber. I know that historically people want to give it to Trent, but Trent hasn't really been on it this season. I think everybody can be honest about that. And Reece James has just come back. So who's really chatting to Timber for real? Malo Gusto? Like, let's be honest. He's been so good, so yeah, he's just amazing. I love Timber. Yeah.
What did you think of Martin Odegaard?
I think he was okay on the day. I don't think it wasn't his best game, but I think people were trying to do too much, like to the point where people were making up false quotes and saying that Rice said that he told him to cross it when he was clearly talking about Yover. We're at the stage with Odegaard. If he's not the best or whatever, he's the worst he's ever been. And I don't think that was the case. So yeah, it just because you weren't the best doesn't mean you're terrible. So yeah.
What'd you give him out of 10?
I'd probably give him like 6.5, somewhere around there.
No half ratings. Are you gonna go for a 7 or a 6?
I'd probably go for a 7. I don't think he was anywhere near as bad as people were saying.
I think for me a 6 is calm. That's literally above average. I think he did his thing. I think he pissed off Mikel Arteta and Miles Lewis Skelly at one point with some of his passing. I think he was part of a good team performance. And obviously, he could have done, like everyone, could have done things better. But I would say for me with Odegaard, I think the frustration obviously comes with, as we all know, his season. And, you've seen, we'll get on to Mikel Merino, but Mikel Merino obviously did his thing. Kivior's coming done well. We just spoke about Lewis Skelly and Timber, Saka with all the things he's got going on. Even Martinelli, he might not have scored or assisted, but I think he did very well. Trossard off the bench. There's other talking points, and obviously Declan Rice's goals and Partey. He's not been one of the individual ones you're going to kind of highlight, and it does feel really with Odegaard, you might be the only player, because I think I've kind of named the whole squad there. At a best, Odegaard, beyond the obvious, I'll be real.
Martinelli wasn't.
Don't slander Martinelli. Go and look at that first 20 minutes. Martinelli was better than Odegaard. Let's be honest.
I don't think he was. I think he was okay. But here's the thing, though. Did
you watch the first 25 minutes, Jess?
He wasn't that great. Here's the thing.
Did you watch the game more than once without emotion?
I did. I watched it 3 times.
Have you watched the heat maps? Have you watched the touches per day? Have you looked at averagely the tactical shape of everyone, including Martinelli and Lewis Skelly?
If your claim to listen, I told you to enjoy.
Do you think Odegaard and Saka were at it from minute 0?
Okay,
There weren't a period with down the left.
Okay, let me get my point out, because I think you're over talking me because I'm probably right. Martinelli
No. I don't know if you're right.
Okay,
I think you're being wrong and strong.
Let me finish. Let me just finish really quick. Let me get my point out. If the claim to fame for Martinelli is that he was better than Odegaard, that's to me is like, it is what it is. It is what it is. With Odegaard at this stage in the season, and if you need him to be the best player on the pitch every single game, or you want him sold, then you just don't like the kid. It's fine. I don't want him sold. I'm not going to change my mind. He has another season for me. He's probably the one player that hasn't gotten any sort of like grace or anything. And at this stage of last season, it was him that put the ball in for Trossard to even keep this whole thing alive for us. So maybe it is time for somebody else to step up. Maybe somebody else needs to do something. So I get it. He's not having his best season, but I'm probably not going to turn on somebody for having his first bad season in 4. So, but right now, because he's not popular, it's not popular to stand behind him. I'm going to stick beside him, because if he comes good next season and we have a striker and then things smooth out, all of this will look stupid. So yeah, I'm not
Do you think
sure.
his problems, you said something there. Do you think, how much of his problems do you feel is down to a striker? Mine.
I don't think it's just down to a striker, but I think because we don't have one, there's a lot of pressure on our midfield to do their job. And there's not a lot of pressure on our attackers to score the types that we don't have expectations of our attack that Barcelona fans and PSG have of theirs. They basically just do what they're meant to do. When we look at Saka, I feel like the reason why we're so relieved when he's there is because he kind of just does his job. You can give Odegaard is getting criticized for giving the ball to Saka. He's just giving the ball to Saka. He's just giving the ball to Saka. What the fuck else are you supposed to do? He's our best player. Why are you getting criticized for giving the ball to our best player and him doing stuff? So I get the criticism. I understand he's not having his best season. He's not going to get sold, and he's probably not going to get stripped of the captaincy. So next season will start. But when you're making up fake quotes and, you know, the whole emphasis is, well, our 100 million pound signing stepped up. What did he do? It's kind of like, you just don't like him. And so I can't have conversation with people that just don't like the guy.
Is it worrying though that we're still waiting for him to step up? Like,
no, not really. I mean, some players are just having a bad
he's
season.
getting to the Bernabau, his old stomping ground next week.
I mean, if we win and we go through, and then what? Like, I feel like we won 3-0 in a good team performance, and the first thing people were talking about was how they can get Odegaard out of the team. So
yeah, no, forget them, man. Forget all that.
It's
for
a little
us balanced fans
much.
that are talking about Odegaard.
If you're worried about it, and you're just like so concerned and all that kind of stuff, then fair enough. I think he's going to come good next season. But I also know that once the loud people in the fan base don't like somebody, then people that don't want to be on the wrong side start to turn their feelings on a player. That's where we are with Odegaard. There are people that have backed Odegaard for a long time that are starting to turn. Fair enough. I think he's having a bad season. It happens. Like, players have bad seasons at times. We're the only fan base that requires our players to be damn near perfect all the time and give them like zero grace. So have fun. You know,
football's a fickle game, Jess, man. You know, there's been times, obviously, criticism and all of that. Like, people will love Saka more than an Odegaard in general, but there's been a time where people have been on Odegaard. There's been a time people ask questions of Lewis Kelly, and they'll no doubt be everyone kind of not hated Declan Rice, but first half of the season, in the last 2 summers, a lot of people would have got rid of Partey. The language is different. Football is quite fickle like that. But I would say, for me, as someone that's got a lot of time for Martin Odegaard, I just need you to step up. I wanted to see you a bit more prominent. And this season is kind of a write-off. That being said, we are going to need you at the Bernabeu. And for me, for you anyways, for you, Odegaard, it'd be nice if you come out of the second leg with what we're talking about, like with Kivior and Timber and this about you, because you just get people off your back. Even with that, yeah. Now, how do you feel about Mikel Arteta? And I'm not doing the in and out kind of stuff with you, Jesse. It's more of a case of, you know, me and you have given him his flowers and we've given him his criticism, and by now we know what he's good and bad at, right? But he needs to get over the line. And then he comes over here now and he wins 3-0 against Real Madrid, where he adds Carlo Ancelotti to the list of managers, quality managers that he's outplayed and won. Like, you kind of half want to believe and then you don't. And it's almost like there's something in here, Gaffer, but get it out of here.
Yeah, I mean, we're technically like 4 games away from winning a Champions League. So now that we've gotten this close, we're kind of expecting something, but we just have to take it one game at a time. I think we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves just a little bit. You need to really put the game away against Real Madrid. I know we have a good cushion, but anything can happen. So yeah, I think people are like expecting us to win it now. If you've been watching Barcelona play, you've been watching Inter
Nasty
play,
agendas.
you're watching PSG play, the PSG that will come up against if we did get to the next round, and they do too, won't be the same one that we played earlier on this season. So we just need to take it one game at a time. But when you're 4 games away from winning the Champions League, then all the focus has to go to that. And when you put in a performance like you did against Real Madrid, the expectation is that we're going to maintain that. So I think going to Real Madrid and doing the scared thing, or changing up things at this stage, Arteta just needs to keep the morale high and keep the players in the mindset that they've been in. That mindset is what I expect from an Arsenal team under Mikel from the last couple of years. Is they can dominate big teams, they can have good performances, they do control games, like they're great defensively, but we've slipped a little bit this season. So my expectation is that we maintain that. Is my expectation to win it? Not necessarily, but my expectation is that that type of performance is in us. So why don't we perform like that more often?
Okay, a couple of things there, Jess. You're not wrong here, but you've got. I think one thing that goes against us is we're quite methodical in our approach of football, and we try not to get too down and too excited. And the whole saying, ignorance is bliss. It kind of robs us of being a bit more fickle and truly enjoying the performance. Like winning 3-0 against Madrid it's a movie. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but Arsenal fan to an Arsenal fan, this is a safe space. I know you got to keep your feet on the floor, but are you starting to dream? Like, come on,
Yeah,
man. Like,
of course.
come on,
Of
man.
course.
Like, it could happen. Like, it
Of
might
course,
happen.
but I don't think we've won it already. That's my point.
Yeah,
Is
no, 100. I'm
as
not saying
we
you're
think
saying that.
we've won something already and we haven't. Of course, if we get to the final, I'm gonna book my flight. Like if we get to the final, I'm booking my flight to go. Like, so I'm not trying to put cold water on it, but there's still a lot of football to play. You're close, but you're so far, and the teams that you'll have to go through are not fun teams to play,
We'll
so,
get
but
onto them.
this is where you want to be. I want to play PSG in the next round. I want to go up against that really good team again and beat them again. And even if we have to go up against Barcelona, I want to see our players up against Lamine Yamal and Rafinha. That's what I want to see. So yeah, I'm excited, but there's still a lot of football to play. We haven't won anything yet, but we're so close. And I'd love to see us I don't care what we put out there against Brentford. I don't give a fuck. All I care about is that next game in the Champions League. That's it. I don't care about nothing else. You
And
can
as
put
much as
Dalman and them out there.
no, chill. Next season, maybe. I think it's a weird one, man, because I think we've earned that night. I think away from the people that love football at its base level, yeah, like fans of Arsenal, whatever club, but people that love football, they'll laugh and joke. But when you part that off on the side, they'll give Arsenal their credit. Yes, it doesn't
Yeah.
mean we're going to win the Champions League and we're the best thing since sliced bread, but we've taken a lot of hits. And football is meant to be romantic. I saw my players work hard, do whatever the game plan was, take initiative, and they earned it essentially. While we can't get too excited because nobody would have, maybe there's a 1-2 Arsenal fan that would have put a bet of 3-0, but nobody could have foreseen this with the free kicks, etc. We've been showing that anything can happen. And if anything can happen positively, it can happen negatively. So we need to be a bit careful. Madrid are still doing the Bernabau talk and the Bellingham talk, and their season's been tested. And the Champions League is the one they live or die by. There's question marks over Carlo. Carlo even came out and said we lacked football. Now, I don't know if that was a terminology thing, but if I was a Real Madrid fan and they said we lacked football, I'd be quite vexed. How do you approach it from a tactical point of view? Because you just kind of said it there. You'll rest people against Brentford. Do you go more attacking? Do you do the low block thing for 90 minutes and go home? How do you approach the away trip at the Bernabeu?
I mean, I think you have to just play it smart in terms of like, it's not up to us we don't have to really score any more goals, but they need to know that we can still score more goals. And I think that's the balance that you have to strike. Like, I don't think you can just sit in the box and do that for 90 minutes. I don't. I think you need to still have some sort of threat and some way of getting forward. And I think the most important thing is not to concede any goals in those first 20 minutes. Because if the first 20 minutes go by and they don't score, they'll start to get frustrated. They saw that they were frustrated at the end. They'll start to get frustrated, and they'll start making mistakes or trying to force it. And that's kind of what you want. You want them to try to force it, I feel like, and then they'll start making mistakes and then we can capitalize. But I think we're going to have to use some dark arts. I think we're going to have to be willing to suffer a little bit. This would be the perfect day for Gabriel. Funnily enough, I
Don't
think
make me cry, man.
this is his perfect scenario.
That set
And he
piece.
won't be there. But they have been kind of shaky even at home and have conceded goals even at home. So I don't really want us to sit in that much. We can let them have the ball and be in our shape, but we cannot just be locked into the box. Be wary of the black magic. Somehow
Be
the
very
referee
wary.
somehow the
Pass the
referee
timber, we
will
need you.
yeah, the referee will forget the rules of the game.
This guy shouldn't even be
And
playing in the second leg.
yeah, he shouldn't. So I think we just have to be smart, really, and try really hard not to concede in those first 20 minutes. Concede in the first 20 minutes, it's going to get really, really hard. But if they go 20 minutes without scoring, they'll start to get frustrated. They already look frustrated as it is. I think mentally, as much as they're in the, saying these things, you have to say you're still in it. Their body language, the conversations that they're having at Ancelotti, they look rattled.
It's a difficult moment where Real Madrid are this season, despite the fact that on paper they're fighting for a treble. And I think the Arsenal result just kind of happened, had to have happened. And Jude Bellingham said something kind of what you're alluding to is that this has been happening all season or something along those lines. They came into this, I'm sure, losing to Valencia. So you're right.
Yeah. So I think that's like the main thing is just half the battle is already won because they're not really like locked in. 20 minutes goes by and they don't score and their fans get on top of them. That rattledness, you know how Vinny and them get. They lose their heads, and I think that's important. Make them lose their heads, make them foul us, be smart, do not concede in the first 20 minutes and go from there. But they have to know that we can still score. And that's going to be the biggest thing. They can't feel like we have no threat. We're just kicking it up to no one. There needs to still be players to kick it to. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. But we've set ourselves up really, really well. And I'm proud of that.
It's a weird one, man, because I felt, there's plenty to say from Ancelotti and Mikel Arteta. You had Lewis Skelly and Bellingham trying to double up and failing to really help against Bukayo Saka, and plenty of things to talk about from a tactical point of view. Even the sequence which led to Merino's goal, as you said, or even the runs from Saka, and actually how we was around their defensive wall for Rice's free kicks. But I think it's a mental game. In the same way it came down to pride, you're not going to let some stranger come into your house, put their bare feet on your table and start eating up all your food. Or if that happens, you're going to have something to say. I think in the same way we showed that, they're going to want to show that. They're going to want to show that for all the 15 times they've won it. And we're Real Madrid and we can come back. As much as they come back from the death all of the time, it feels like they really need to prove that. They're in a negative rut. If they really mess with Carlo Ancelotti like that, we hear he's a father figure for Vinicius. You kind of want to save his job. And in a way that a miracle happened for us at the Emirates, a miracle could happen for them at the Bernabau, in which Arsenal fans, we don't get miracles. Arsenal Football Club, players better than you have been part of these Liverpool comebacks and Paris Saint-Germain comebacks. Don't let that be the case, because this is the only thing we've got to dream about now. And as Jess eloquently said, we've got a long way to go. But beating Madrid is a statement. PSG are good. Inter are probably my favourites. Barca look unstoppable, but there's no team you'd want to play with in this for a reason. So for me, just approach it.
I want the players to dream. Like
they should dream. They're living a movie playing against Real Madrid.
They need to be the ones that are dreaming of the final and getting up for it as much as possible. This is a huge opportunity for them. There's not a single team in this competition left that I don't think we can cause problems for. They can cause us problems, but I think we can go toe-to-toe with anybody left in this competition. This is our biggest mental hurdle is going to be Real Madrid because of the heritage and all of that. So they have to think, if you can get by Real Madrid, you can beat anyone. So
and earn your luck doing things off the cuff like with Rice. For me, just approach it in the same way you did at the Emirates. You made an interesting point about conceding. Now, it sounds silly because we kept a clean sheet. Whatever they have to say about the tactics of Carlo and whatnot, you saw it, I saw it. Vinicius out there, Rodrigo's out there, Mbappe's out there. Modric can hit screamers. They've still got great players. We scored more than them. You look at this front three, theirs is probably collectively better. If we do concede, kind of going back to my point about psychologically, I just want you to just accept it, because I don't know how much of our game plan could have been going into this tie, keeping a clean sheet. And we know we're playing 13 players. We know we're playing the 11 on the pitch. We know their fans are going to make it noisy, and they're probably going to put more pressure on their actual players than us. And we know there's going to probably be some element of a dodgy refereeing decision. I would love one more goal. I do wish, I'm being a bit too harsh, but I do wish Saka had a couple of assists because we needed those tap-ins. Gyökeres's agent was there, but we put our best foot forward. Just keep our feet on the ground. Know that if you've done it once, you can do it twice, and let's just keep going, man. Quick side note, then, because you mentioned it, and I know some people probably want me to touch on this. Like, what's your starting 11 for Brentford then? Because you would say, yeah, well, you would say you don't really care, but some of these guys are gonna have to play. We can't rest everyone.
The players that came off looking injured and rough, they're not
Timber,
playing.
Rice, Saka.
Yeah, so they can sit. But I mean, I would definitely start Ethan. I would definitely start Sterling and Tierney, maybe. He had a really good cameo.
No Zinni.
Zinni is nowhere to be found. Arteta has had opportunities to sub him on, and he hasn't been used. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with that. But you know, he can play. I don't really care. I just feel like we need to protect certain players, and it's the ones that came off. Jorginho should probably play this game. You know, maybe you want to protect Partey. I don't know. You know,
yeah. In an ideal world, Partey, you're one that bench, please. We need to wrap you in cotton wool.
So it might be a midfield of like Jorginho, Odegaard, and maybe you throw Zinni in midfield. I don't know. I don't.
You know, Rice is playing.
Yeah, well, he shouldn't because you can't afford to lose him. But Arteta just needs to play it smart. I know, I get that we need to wrap up Champions League, but my point with that was always like, I think we have enough of a gap on the other teams where they're so inconsistent and maintain this, like everybody dropped points, including us this past game week. And I think it'll continue like that. I think we're pretty safe now. So
completely forgot about Everton. I can't lie to you until you mentioned it.
Yeah. So I think we need to be smart, you know, but, you know, Trossard could maybe start, you know, because he didn't start the game. Martinelli will most likely start against Real Madrid. He has some options, you know, he just needs to figure out which players.
Calafiori back. I don't know if Calafiori's back.
Start White, you know, as well. But protect those really important players. We know who they are. And yeah. And I do see like in the comment section, like people are talking about Merino's goal.
Yeah, we have to touch on him. I keep pause. I keep being disrespectful. Like we have to.
Merino. Somebody in my group chat was like, "Oh, if we win the Champions League, then he's player of the season." I was like, "Slow down,
no,
not player of the season, but he gets that instant cult status."
All of them by default.
He is doing really well. 6 goals in 10 games is really, really good for a makeshift striker.
A man scored against Real Madrid and had a good performance. 3 good games on the spin.
Yeah,
my guy. That's why I've been backing him.
Why I like Merino is he's kind of like a grown up in the room. Like he doesn't get everything right. But yeah, you can sense that he's not afraid to be in these
Stop rolling around on the floor as well.
Yeah, that finish and the goal itself is peak Arteta ball and what makes us so good and what Ola Aina was talking about.
Why we don't buy strikers, we make them.
We just kind of pass the ball around sleepily for like 30 passes, and then all of a sudden the ball's in the back of the net.
We could have had a brace. Like, Merino's unlucky, really, in the Madrid game.
Yeah, that was really, really good. The finish, if somebody said in the comment section, if Isak had put that in the back of the net, they'd still be talking about it.
100%.
That was a fantastic goal, and it was from open play.
Seen Foden praise for less.
Yeah, I love that goal because of all the passes. It had to have been at least like 20 passes. Like almost everybody touched the ball. It was insane. And, you know, Miles Lewis-Skelly, if you would have told me at the beginning of the season he'd be starting it in a quarterfinal against Real Madrid and would get an assist,
Merino up front.
And for Merino, I would have been like, what? But that's the reality. It happened, you know.
Is he a better striker than Kai Havertz?
I don't know. I feel like what I do know is that if Merino and Kai Havertz are scoring at a decent rate for Arsenal as a center forward, then would definitely look much different with a true striker. That's what I'll say. I feel like I think it's harsh on Kai because we know that he would have scored goals as well because he did. It's just the goals that we didn't score are the ones that a striker would have scored. And those are those balls across the box for that Saka put across. So I don't want to shade Kai when he's not there.
It might even be recency bias as well. Maybe Mikel Arteta knew that we was gonna need someone with the capabilities to play up front, so he signed Merino. And if Kai Havertz was fit and the same dynamics happened, we might have done something with the Champions League goal scoring.
I mean, I saw people saying that Kai would have gotten on the end of Saka's crosses, so we don't really know.
He does score them. He might also Kai would have scored one of the scrappy finishes in my mind. He wouldn't have scored Merino's one.
He wouldn't have scored exactly.
He wouldn't have. Wait, do you remember Merino's against Leicester? Like, let alone that one. That would be like Kai's not doing that.
Yeah, he wouldn't have scored those ones. So I totally agree with that 100%. But it just shows that if we had a striker, they would get chances and they could put some balls in the back of the net. So I think
a lot said about Gyökeres. I'm sure he could have scored one of those half chances. His agent was there. They probably looked around and said, "Yeah, let's do this. Talk about."
We create chances, So yeah, but I really do like Merino's energy. I know that he's not perfect, but nobody is. He's just does the business, and I appreciate that. Because in seasons like this, you need players to kind of just do what they can, and I think he's done that. I think he's done a Trossardy type of job for us this season.
And he needed that more, Jess, man, because he got injured and obviously he wasn't the game changer, level raiser. That's why I was so keen on supporting him. Like, I wouldn't have bought him. I think he's a squad player at best, but there was a bunch of squad players out there that did their thing, and he looks a lot more confident, man. Again, going into games like this is going to be psychological. Rate, please forgive me for airing your super chat. Big I think you mean big up the Jess duo. Appreciate that. Would you support giving Martin a break from the captaincy for next season just so he can focus on his game? Me personally, I wouldn't, because I'm not saying he'd be my ideal choice, but clearly his name holds weight in the backroom staff, whether it's with the players or Mikel Arteta. And for me, if you remove that captaincy and he's still playing crap, where do we go with that? But where are you at, Jess, with that?
I think people are overthinking it. I feel like the captaincy is like, you see somebody with the armband, that's more for the fans. Like, there's nothing stopping everybody else from leading. It never stopped Xhaka from being the leader back there. It never stopped anybody from doing anything. So I think it's just, he's not playing well and he has the captaincy. So fans are panicking about it. So they're like, strip him of it. But really all we need from Odegaard is for him to just
start starting them up with performances.
Yeah, I don't think the captaincy is like as big of a deal as people are making it out to seem. It's not going to stop players like Declan from leading or anything. And they have a leadership group and we all know that. So he's just the face and he always has been. He was the face when Xhaka was there. I feel like people forget that Xhaka was supposed to be captain, but Arteta just couldn't give him the captaincy because of what happened with Crystal Palace. So Odegaard's been the face, but Xhaka was the captain behind closed doors. We know that. It's the same thing. I know it's not what people want and they prefer somebody else to just have it, but that's just for you. That's just for the fans to feel better. It's not going to change how the team operates. If you're a leader, you're a leader. If you're not, you're not,
Simple. Look at Lewis Kelly, been in the team 2 minutes, leading. Saka's been the captain, but leads. Like, Odegaard, we just hope it gets better in it, because I've got a lot of people will have a lot of apologies, and you want Odegaard to play well. I want to ask you, there's a bit of an off-the-cuff question, like, when you sit there, Jess, and we've beaten, regardless of how the second leg goes, but we've beaten Real Madrid 3-0. We battered Manchester City. Yeah, I know Real Madrid are not the best at the moment. I know where City are at, but they both hold 2 titles or 2 trophies we'd love to get. Now, by God's grace, we win the Champions League, but if it don't, we're silverware-less. And then you sit there and you think about the night against Madrid, what we did with the young players against City, the semi-finals, I guess, against Newcastle and going out the FA Cup. How does it make you feel? Does it feel like we've shot ourselves in the foot? Is it a case of what could have been? Like, we're our own worst enemies on and off the field in terms of recruitment, what we do on the pitch, the positive and negative Arteta? Where would your mind be?
I mean, if we end up trophyless, nothing really matters. I feel like obviously we can look at the ins and outs of the season and look at the injuries and all that kind of stuff, but there's just enough evidence there that if in 5 seasons you haven't won anything, then there needs to be some sort of change. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to kick somebody to the curb, but that means we haven't been doing things correctly. And there needs to be some sort of change in approach or whatever, So I think even with 4 seasons with no trophies, we should have known that, you know, as close as we've been, how we've stagnated, flatlined a little bit, we should be still moving in an upward trajectory. I just believe that our last 2 transfer windows have not set us up properly. We've spent a lot of money, but we haven't really attacked the one position that just needs addressing, and that's the
What would
attack.
that be if people don't know what you're referring to?
The attack, like, it just needs more X factor. It needs players that can do what Saka does. You give them the ball and they make things happen. We just don't have enough of that. And Martinelli does do it on occasion when he's playing well. But our striker, to me, does not create enough football. You know, when you watch other top teams play, even Lewandowski is not known for being like some sort of creator or whatever, but
he's very good technically.
Yeah, he gets in the nooks and crannies and gets the ball to Rafinha and them. He does things. He shoots on sight. I really do think people are underestimating the fact that we just don't have those types of attackers. It's so system-based that when the system is not really getting us where we need to go, we're locked up. So, yeah, I think with that's going to be a conversation whether we win anything or not. We still need to go get what we need to go get. But yeah, if we go trophyless, it would be really disappointing. But I think that was the assumption pre-Real Madrid anyway. So not much has really changed. You know, if you don't win anything, we'll look back at those last 2 summer windows and say, why didn't we just go buy the attackers? And we were having that conversation on Mo's channel. They were like, well, I just don't think a striker changes everything. I'm like, it doesn't change everything.
But it helps a hell of a lot.
It helps a lot. I don't know why people are pretending like that's not a big deal. I know for rivals, it's like they want to believe that even a striker won't change anything, but it just lessens the pressure so much on other players that aren't supposed. A striker, that's all they want to do.
Which would be to my
right. Exactly. Saka is more of like he scores a lot of goals, but the amount of times that he creates chances that just go begging for someone just to be there is insane. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't know why people are pretending like it's not gonna mean that we don't have other gaps in the team or there are not other ways that we can improve. Even after Man City
bought a clear solution.
Yeah, after City bought Haaland, they still had other things that they probably felt like they could improve. I'm not saying that means that there's no problems, but the world football, when we finished that first half against Real Madrid, not a single person was talking about anything other than Arsenal need a striker. It's so obvious.
Exactly.
That's all I was saying on Talk. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of, you know, where I'm at with everything.
Bang on the money, man. Like bang on the money. You get a forward, you're good. Now I can't do the coulda, woulda, shoulda thing. But I think the game kind of went to the script from a coaching perspective, and then in a positive way, those small margins that Mikel Arteta speaks about that domestically we haven't had. Like there's been games where we haven't necessarily played well, and we haven't seen like 2 screamers from Declan Rice or Saka create or Saka's. There'll be a game where we'll end that game in the first leg 0-0, or we score Merino's chance and the superstar things from Rice doesn't happen, and we'll say what we could have, would have, and should have did, and we won. We'll talk about winning 1-0 and how good it is, which that would have been good if it only ended 1-0 going into the second leg. But it's without doubt that we need a striker, man. We clearly need that. It's nice that the goals are still being shared around and all of that, but yeah, man, the strikers would help us. Before I move on, before we head over to your channel, we go over a couple of things. Like, I've got a couple of tab. Police, look away, by the way. I've got a lot of things to go over with you very briefly. This has been here for time. That Merino goal, do you think anyone else in the squad would score that in that scenario? Not just the execution, but the decision and willingness to shoot first time while going backwards?
No.
No one?
No, I don't think anybody in our team. That goal, that was like that is like a striker's finish.
I reckon Ethan does that.
Okay.
I reckon trust. Maybe if I had to put if we had to put money, like you had to bet on a player to save your life, I'd put Trossard/Wanyeri. By default, Saka, but yeah, I'm kind of leaning to Jess's side. If I had to bet on it.
Yeah, if I had to bet on it, I just feel like that was like a striker's finish. I don't know how to describe it in any way other than it just was so clean. And you wouldn't have imagined that, like, most of the time somebody gets a ball there for Arsenal and passes it backwards or, you know, whatever. To take the shot and for it to go past Courtois And I think the reason why it did go past Courtois too is because he probably wasn't expecting us to shoot at that stage. So yeah, I think it was just such a good finish. Like Merino's, except for the goal that he scored against.
No blood in that last half hour, man.
Yeah, except for the one goal that he scored against, I forget who he scored against, like 2 games ago, Fulham. All of his finishes have been pretty freaking clean, man. You know,
The Leicester
so
one for me, obviously, you bag against Real Madrid, that's the best one. But the Leicester one with his right peg, I was like, big up Merino, and he's just someone that you can question his ability and whether we should have signed him, but you can just tell he's a good lad. And I don't believe in, I believe in questioning a player, but I don't believe in just writing him off, or even if you don't think he's good, just consistently calling him shit. So I'm happy for him, really, man. What else have we got to go over very quickly? I'm sure we've spoken about this at length a million times, but allegedly Arsenal are planning a 200 million triple swoop for Gyökeres, Williams, and Martin Zubimendi. Where's your head at with that?
I mean, I think
Apparently been offered a 5-year deal as well.
Yeah. I mean, I would be happy with those players. I'm cool with that. Let's just get it done. Like, it's just been so overdue that it's hard to get excited about it. I'm more just like, just get it done now, you know? But I really like Gyökeres. I think he's the kind of player that we need. I love Nico Williams as a player. I don't see what other people see in terms of like, he's not good. He's just raw. Zubimendi is the interesting one because I think he just doesn't do the flashy things, but I think he's really good too. So yeah, that's a decent summer window. It's probably not like the flashiest thing, but it's good, you know? So, I mean, what do you think?
I'm a fan of Gyökeres, man. Me and you spoke last week, or maybe even the week before. We said, yeah, we understand all the risks and that, but I think he could score goals. You kind of touched on it where we just need someone in the box. Yeah, people can talk about the concerns about the Portuguese league, but ain't the pitch the same? If you're a striker, get in the box and bag. And it would tell me kind of where Arsenal are at. Like, I'm not against Sesko. He wouldn't be my first choice, but I think after Isaac, everything else is potentially debatable, innit? I'd understand why they bought Sesko. But for me, I'd be more happier with Gyökeres because I think he's better right now. And it tells me you're kind of in win now mode as much as we're finding players for tomorrow. And I'm not saying he's old, but you know yourself, Jess, we're not going to sign someone for anything reported from 60, 70, 80, all the way to his release clause of 100 odd million. Give a man a 5-year deal and a 10 with 10 million a year. If he's not at 26, if he's not the finished article. So for me, I'm on that. Like, you might as well just get it done. If his agent really was at the Emirates and Arteta's clearly convinced and Berta's convinced, I know there can be twists and turns and he could go to another club for whatever reason. We need a forward because, again, you have to chase the illusion of perfection. Surely, if we had a forward, I should be thankful with 3-0 Real Madrid. 5 is something different. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, bring
and
him.
That's what we should have done. We should have slapped them more, you know. And I think Gyökeres does do that for us. So, what's this? What are we?
Mr. Hatto, man. Long story short, he's just saying this season he's played as a left back and he's obviously a centre half. He said he spoke to Timber. We're still being linked with Hatto. You still don't think we need another left back? And he's commenting on Timber's posts. I know they're friends, but mind games.
Oh my gosh. I just want to see the other things come in first. I don't want to get to the end of the window and we're talking about we need to sell to get the players that we really do need. Hato would be great. I think having MLS makes me want him less, to be honest, you know, but yeah, I mean, he's a good player. How much is he going to fucking cost? He's going to cost like 60.
40 to 60, but
we robbed them. We robbed them last time.
We did. We actually did. Yeah, just allow us, Ajax, man.
Yeah.
Use the money you get from selling like Zinni, Trossard, and them kind of ones. Bring me my hat on, man.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if you sell Zinni for decent money, you can use that to, you know, to bring
pay for itself,
kind of thing, you know. But yeah, Hato's great. I just like MLS more.
And he can also play centre half. He's learnt to play both. He's got 100 appearances or just over that for Ajax. He's played for his country at 19. Kind of what you said about Williams. He's raw, man. This can be the long-term Magalhaes replacement or competition. Like, big up Kivior. I don't know where Mikel Arteta
is the long-term Gabriel replacement. Come on.
We can have both. There might be a scenario where you've got Lewis Skelly. We want depth. Lewis Skelly can be a left back. Calafiori can play there. Hato can play there. You could all play in other positions. I would love to see Lewis Kelly in midfield. Hato's lit, man. Just bring him. Trust
Okay,
me.
okay,
Bring
okay,
him.
okay, okay.
How important is it to see Wanyeri and Lewis Kelly potentially sign new deals?
Oh, it's massive. We've seen the money that they were on last week. We looked at it.
Hmm.
They're real first teamers that deserve first teamer type contracts. Other teams are obviously going to be looking at them, but they're ours, so get them on real contracts. They are real players in this team. They're not just young guys, so yeah, I'd be excited for both of them to get on new deals, and Berta, get those two on new deals, get Saka and Gabriel on new deal, try to get Saliba to sign something, and let's move,
Amen. And Lewis Kelly's contracted, I believe, until 2026. Not sure on Wanyeri, but hopefully they do. We all know we've been linked with Sesko and Gyökeres, so we don't go on that. Would you spend 125 million on Lautaro Martinez?
Here's the thing about him. He's a weird one. I think he's disrespected. And I'm not quite sure why, but he is not a player I would take at Arsenal. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me, but I'm sure people want to hear what you think.
To describe it.
I feel the same way, but you said that you might as well explain
can
it
you
to people.
Rate somebody that you don't necessarily want at your club? I feel
Yeah,
like you can. And
you can.
he's people talk about him crazy. I don't think he's anywhere near as bad as people may. He can't be.
His finish was amazing, man.
Yeah, he can't be. He is a quality player. I'm not sure I want another player that kind of has to play with another striker. I know he played with Lukaku first. Now he kind of plays with Thuram. They're kind of like a two-man team. That's not really how we play. He drops in, plays kind of like a 10-ish type of role, and he's not the quickest, So for me, I think we need the transitional threat. We need somebody who can be the number 9 by himself. I don't think he quite suits us, but I do rate him, and I think he's a little disrespected. Yeah, so no thanks.
You don't feel him in Declan Rice. I know it's not quite a 2 up front, but Declan Rice makes those forward runs. He wins the first and seconds. Havertz is there. You don't feel there's a world.
I don't want any scenario where Arteta's going to start thinking, let me put Havertz in the second striker. Sorry.
I hear it. Interestingly, though 2022, we were linked with him before, so I don't know. Arteta might be a fan of him.
I feel like Arteta might like him, but we need to go in a different direction. I think we need somebody that can be the guy for us that's going to hold up that whatever shirt he takes in, he's going to be able to play with the 2 wingers and be the number 9 by himself.
Amen. So that's Martinez. We've gone over that. See, I don't try and miss anything. I'm sure you've seen this, but apparently Arteta staff members, Carlos Cuesta, Stevenberg, Inaki Kanya, Nicholas Holver, Miloma, have all signed new contracts. And those contracts will end at the same time as Mikel Arteta 2027. What do you make of that?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think his backroom staff maybe been criticized because it doesn't have enough experience. But I do think he has a very talented backroom staff. Stevenberg, I love him down. I don't know what you do, but I love him.
There's something about him, innit? I don't know what you do apart from the other side. You just seem like you're someone's uncle. You're cool. You're cool.
I think Carlos Cuesta
underrated.
He's got it. He's got it. I got my thing with Kanya, though. He's the one that it's like, don't bring any more fucked up goalkeepers to us, bro. Like, you had a hard, like the first couple of years was rough, but a home run with Raya. And I think he knows what he's talking about when it comes to Juan Garcia. So he has a strong backroom staff, and we know Nicholas Jover is what it is. So yeah, it is. As long as Arteta's here, those are the guys that are going to be here. So get him to new deals and let's keep it moving. Like, Arteta's not going anywhere. So
2027, 15 million a year, just won 3-0 against Madrid. It could be wavy. Clearly got Champions League football. I don't think you would want to leave that job anytime soon. And it's a busy day because apparently, according to Football Insider, Arsenal's head of recruitment, James Ellis, is expected to leave the club at the end of the season as part of their recruitment shake-up.
Yes.
Now, interestingly, he joined when Edu joined, and he's been here since 2021. He joined from Fulham. He's left, but I think that means Ato is going to get a somewhat more important role. But where are you at with that?
Well, get him out of here. I'm sorry. Anybody that was really like with Edu, I need y'all to go. And like Berta needs to have his own people that he trusts. The club really trusts Ito. Whatever. I'm just happy he didn't get the sporting director job. If this guy was like Edu's main guy, get him out of here instantly. Sorry.
I don't think I don't think many people be wrong with that suggestion, man. Why would he cost that 200 M's though? I'm not sure what you're referring to there. Last question. Should Saka go on?
I think he's talking about like those players that we spoke about. Like why would
200 million, they all got release clauses, make it happen. Last one for you. Should Saka play any minute on Saturday? I'm sure we're gonna disagree, you know.
No.
I disagree.
I know, because you always want people to play and risk.
No, actually no. For once, it's not to argue with you or anything. I just think the man's gonna play. Mikel Arteta is gonna make him play some point. I think Arteta is gonna be on that momentum.
Is would you anticipating Arteta doing it is different. Arteta will start Rice and Saka at the weekend.
Would I play him? You play some minutes,
of course. Because you're Arteta, you do what Arteta wants.
The Saka's my boy. Listen, sometimes I think people need to put themselves in Arteta's shoes, rightly or wrongly. You got bare question marks. You're doing all this tactical stuff. You don't even know what some of your players are going to do. You know, Saka's a good lad. He might just get you out of jail. He might just win you some games. Like that's one less problem. He would play like 5-10 minutes for me, if I'm honest with you. If that, more on the 5. Just because I just want to keep some momentum. But then again, rightly so, you did remind me. He was limping, and Arteta was a bit evasive when speaking about him, and he revealed, I don't know if you saw, Magalhaes will be out for 4 months.
Huh?
4 months. He kind of indirectly said it post-game. He's like 4 months.
Oh my gosh.
It's cool though. It means he's back for next season. He's back.
I know, quickly. But still, that's a long fucking time.
And Jesus will be back as well. I'm sure you're happy to hear. Remember last year in the
Champions coming back, fire in the belly. You guys are gonna get scammed again, scammed again, scammed. He's a scammer, man.
That one rattles me when you say when you tweet me that, you know, about the fire in the belly. So I fell for it. Pisses you off because he's not. Oh Jesus, I lost. Saka needs to get match fit. He should play some minutes. 4 months, yeah, man. I mean, the only silver lining, if you could say it's one, is that. In an ideal world, you'll be back in it. Like you'll be back when next season starts. I'm quite wary to see what we look like in the first 2-3 weeks of the new season. To be fair, because Havertz should be back, Magalhaes should be back. I don't know if or when the new signings will come in, and I'm sure I'm missing out some names. So yeah, man, we'll have to see. Jess, let people know they can find you before we head over to the second part of this day of content.
Yeah, guys, you can find me on YouTube by just putting in She Knows Arsenal, and then I'm on everything else, including another channel on YouTube called Jessica Black TV, where I talk about like other stuff. So
other stuff such as, you always got to remember someone might be listening to you for the first time.
Oh my gosh, I hate talking about myself. Okay, so basically on my other channel,
are you gonna get anywhere, darling? That's smart.
So I talk about like fashion stuff as it pertains to football. So.
Wait, cut the chat, Jess. Sorry to do that. I hope you're not lying, you know. Huh? If I can't see Ornstein say anything about this, you're getting cancelled.
We're interested in Hoyson? We're interested in Hoyson?
No, everyone, tranquillo. Liverpool's firm Hoyson interest. I bet it's gonna say for us if Saliba leaves. Let's see what Mr. Ornstein
we've inquired. We're in the mix.
Hi, Harry. Sorry. Hi, David. Do you know any of the names for centre-backs that Liverpool are looking for this summer? Before I begin, this Hoyson guy is just twerking for Real Madrid. You know, everything is just coming about that. But he says, yes, I now understand that Liverpool are among the clubs with a firm interest in Hoyson. Forgive me for mispronunciations. It's been reported elsewhere and is accurate. Chelsea have inquired and Arsenal are in the mix too. You can see Newcastle's been dropped. Spurs have been dropped. Arsenal is there we go. Arsenal is a bit trickier with Saliba and Gabriel in stew for now. But if Kivior was to be sold, you could envisionalize Hoyson playing a lot as part of their centre-back unit. And for what I hear, Mikel Arteta and Andrea Berta are huge fans of the Spain international.
Get it done. Get it done.
Hatto ting, man. Hatto ting, man. Hatto, man.
Listen. Let me cook. Listen.
See how she was dissing Hatto, but gassing up this guy. I'm telling people. Go on, Jess. I'm telling people. I'm
not interested in freaking Hatto because we got MLS at home. Like, hello.
He's a centre half as well, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
Hoyson's good as well. I'm having both of them. But
it's so good.
Go cook.
If our backup center back partnership is Calafiori and Hoyson, sign me the fuck up. I believe
in Calafiori, but right now centre half in the back four.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Absolutely.
What right now? Like right now, is it going to be like that? Because it's taken us a while for Gabriel and Saliba. Like it's blossomed year in year out.
Oh my gosh! Like I like him. I like him.
What, you
He's
like him
really
over
good.
Hato?
Well, let's think about it
You
this
don't
way.
seem like you rate Hato, man.
I do, but I'm just thinking in terms of like you said, we have Calafiori can play left back. MLS is playing left back right now. We don't actually have a backup for Saliba at all, you know? So, I mean, you can basically say Ben or Timber, but Gabriel has quite a bit of, you know, support with Calafiori being able to play there too. It'd be nice to have another like right-sided center back that you feel confident in. So, yeah, I like him, but yeah, you hate
He's
him.
twerking too much for them. He's twerking too much for them. I'm having him. I like him, and it just shows how Premier League is always late to the party
He's
because
twerking?
Juventus sang themselves, huh?
You said he's twerking?
No, yeah, he's twerking for Real Madrid. Everywhere you go, it's him. Like, oh, my friends told me about Real Madrid. They're on me. Hopefully, he goes and they say fuck Saliba kind of thing. But he's
That'd be
twerking for them, and he's been capped by Spain now. He's been twerking. He's saying my friends are telling me to sign for them. He's got a 50 million release clause. Are we gonna spend that? Well, we haven't sorted out everything else.
It's going to cost that amount as well.
Look at the profit they're gonna make from a move last summer. You see why clubs need to do their scouting immediately. Because if he was offered to a lot of these clubs last summer, they would be like, oh, he's all right. Everyone's having him now.
Listen, if him going to Real Madrid means that they'll slow down on Saliba, that's fine.
Look what he said.
One of my close friends sent me a story about Real, and he told me to go to Madrid. So
he's taking off his knickers for them immediately. Look at him.
Madrid is doing the same thing.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He's twerking.
And he ended up disgusting. You can end up at different places and twerk for somebody. We've had many players twerk for us, and they didn't end up anywhere near us. No, but I get what you're saying. Like ultimately, I like the link because he's a really, really good player. You know, so yeah, he's good.
Ato, important role, and we'll get out of here after this. Ato, important role. What did he show in Jandy? I think personally, you have to give Ato credit because he didn't crumble. You know, there was a lot of pressure to sign people. Many people could have buckled under the pressure of signing Ollie Watkins. He never done that. We hear he's picked up the pieces with Zubamendi, and we hear that Mikel Arteta, who coached the 3-0 masterclass of Real Madrid, is a big fan of his. I'm not necessarily a fan of Ato, but they say the Ornsteins of this world say he played an important role. I can't disagree. I don't know. I think people that want Jason Ito gone don't really have a clue about their football club personally.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man. But on that note, Jess has told you where to go. We're heading straight over to her channel where we'll probably talk about the same things, but with a twist. So yeah, come and join us. When are we starting? Immediately or?
Yeah, I just need to get another cup of coffee and I'll be ready to go.
Let's go, people. And on that note, in honor of Declan Rice, you got to turn up in big games.
Against this right back, Charlie.